Well, it's Monday. What do you say we do it all over again? Welcome to Frontline. 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. It's day 27 of the government shutdown, and food benefits are beginning to be interrupted. We're going to have more on that in just a sec. But we begin tonight with some breaking news out of Maine, where Graham Plattner's campaign manager bowing out just days after he took the job. Wonder if that had anything to do with the tattoos. Also, investigative reporter Paul Sperry is reporting that files from the State Department's dissolved Global Engagement Center will be released in the coming weeks. Now, if you recall, the Global Engagement Center blacklisted a bunch of conservative outlets with the help of NewsGuard and the Global Disinformation Index, a la Nina Jankowicz. And Indiana Governor Mike Braun is calling a special session next week for the state to discuss redrawing the state's congressional district. Democrats can't be thrilled about that one. But first, a lesson in government benefits. They're not guaranteed. Let's do this. All right, we have a culture of welfare in America that, and I'll be honest, some people have been raised in a household where this is actually considered, totally normal. This is just how things are. Some people needed it, and single mother, maybe divorced, maybe needs a little help getting back on her feet, maybe a poor economic situation, like when tons of manufacturing jobs left Pittsburgh, Detroit, even, the capital of my state, Hartford. Look, I get it. It's a safety net, but it was never meant to be a lifestyle, and I'll tell you why. Because, one, people begin to feel that they are entitled to it. These programs should definitely sunset. And two, it's not guaranteed, as they're learning now in a government shutdown. This is why I generally operate under the premise that no one's coming to save you, sort of thing. A lot of you probably feel the same way as I do. But there have been so many people that have been so either generationally or socially indoctrinated to feel that my tax dollars are somehow, for some reason, owed to them. There's so much so that on November 3rd, some of these people are going to be gathering to loot Walmarts.
Y'all better stay the out of my way in these stores. I'm walking out with carts and I'm not paying for
food stamps getting cut off next month. Like, I don't have a kid.
Let me not get no food stamps November and December. Free me. Get my commissary out, because I'm taking up the stove and taking everything.
If you got to take that food, go ahead and take it. Just go ahead and take it.
No, that's actually not how our society works. And since the FBI spent like a third of their resources identifying people by their earlobes on January 6th, some of which didn't even go inside the Capitol, I expect the Justice Department to do the exact same thing to here to anybody who loots a store. But that's wild to me, that there is no legacy media. There's no condemnation from any of those people on this, just like the BLM riots when they were burning down buildings. Like, where is Al Sharpton or Joy Reid or Don Lemon telling these people, like, hey, no, this is not how we do things? There is nothing. Also, it's Democrats that have let them down, by the way. I mean, what's it going to take? Obviously, they're at this point of rage. So these people clearly are annoyed at this stuff, all right? And to the point where actually they're going to be responsible for benefit interruption. Democrats are. And when are the people going to stop voting for those same people? Democrats, their mantra is somehow your level of outrage becomes a level of justification, and therefore they should get a pass. No. Watch, some networks will try to make the cops out to be the bad guys. When they arrest somebody for theft at a Walmart or something, watch, you do not doubt me on this. Oh, look, this cop throwing this poor woman to the ground. She's just trying to eat. No, she is stealing from someone else. That's illegal. I for one, am like, I am so over this stuff, this free ride garbage. Like, I work my tail off. So do you at home. I have multiple companies. I do this job full time. I sacrifice time with my kids and my family to be able to provide a good life. And 50% of it is confiscated by the G-Man to impart for a bunch of people that many of which are perfectly capable of working that just don't. Our welfare programs are out of hand. You know how many people we have on welfare in this country? Check this out, okay? Over 40 million people are on some sort of government assistance. It's crazy to me. This chart is from 2018, but the numbers are basically the same today. 14 and change million people are white, making up 35% of the program recipients. Keep in mind, 60% of the country is in fact white. 10.5 million black, making up 25% of the recipients. But only 13% of the population is black. 45% of black children are actually SNAP recipients today, if you can believe it. 6.6 and so million Hispanics, that's 17% of the recipients. They make up 19% of the population. Many of those are able-bodied to work. Even worse, You know how many of those aren't supposed to be here? Democrats say, oh, no, illegals aren't getting our social program. Yes, they are. Check this out. Illegals alone got $42 billion in welfare benefits in 2021. In fact, illegals per capita consume more welfare than any other group. 59% of illegals are on some sort of government welfare. That means to pay for $42 billion of illegals' welfare, with the average household contributing $30,000 a year in taxes, 1.4 million households had 100% of their tax revenue go to supporting illegals. You tell me how that's fair. This is why I have zero problem with leaving the government shut down and why I'm cheering on these ICE raids, because I am done with this stuff. I explained Friday, if you missed it. I'd encourage you to go back and watch, please, exactly how illegals are costing us billions of dollars in health care, fraudulent Medicaid, even taking the money right out of our red rural districts and putting it into the inner cities because illegals are walking out on their medical bills. That's not all they're costing, though. It goes well beyond welfare and other medical costs. Check this one out. $47.1 billion, okay, combined state and federal, goes to Medi-Cal aid at the behest of our tax laws for illegals. $46.9 billion in additional law enforcement. Think about that. That's it for added border patrol costs, police, state, local law enforcement, court hearings, public defenders costs. Don't forget, we have to charter the jets to fly these people out of here. They don't just leave. 79, look at this, $79.8 billion in education costs. This is what really gets me, that some of these illegals are hindering the education of actual Americans who might be able to break the cycle of being on welfare by getting into a good school, but they're getting, maybe get a good job after that, but they're being held back by the millions of illegals being stuffed into their schools that require the schools to lower the standards so actual Americans who are paying taxes don't get a good education. Almost $200 billion in 2022 between state and federal aids to illegals, contributing to the $1.1 trillion bill we have today on welfare, excluding obviously Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare, because we pay into that our whole life and the government squanders it away anyway. This is why I just generally don't understand the liberal logic. These people on these government handout programs vote in large part Democrat. Why? Because people like Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and Chuck Schumer, with their 50 years on the government dole themselves, insider trading too, make laws that give people forms to apply for these benefits. But what those people don't understand is that these forms for those benefits are paid for by people like Donald Trump building buildings who actually pay taxes. Most of the Democrat socialists don't contribute anything to the system. They confiscate people's money who do. They give it to poor people, then tell them that Republicans will take it away, essentially creating a culture of dependency and an electoral base for generations. But I got an idea, and I'm just spitballing here, but Democrats, maybe instead of spending, I don't know, $300 million to organize a bunch of paid weirdos for a No Kings protest, maybe you could have used that money to fund the SNAP program for a month. After all, Trump was able to find somebody to cover $130 million for military salaries out of their own pocket. That's the real difference between the two parties. One actually has solutions and the other has grievances with absolutely no inkling to solve the actual problem in order to use the rage to control people to keep an entire economic class enslaved. Democrats run elections on telling people that they're owed assistance from the government. They're not. Government owes you nothing. Nobody owes you anything. But Democrats want people to not know how to function without those benefits to make sure that they keep voting for them. LBJ literally said this. And I blame Republicans for letting this happen because we knew it would. But I'll leave you with this. You know those signs you see all over our national parks, don't feed the bears? You know why they put that sign up? Because bears will eventually become dependent on people feeding them. Then always go to those people for food. And if people don't want to give them food anymore, they'll get violent and take it. So why is this logic understood regarding animal behavior, but it's not understood for human behavior? Is it because bears don't vote? I think so. John Hart is the CEO of Open the Book. Sir, out of control, $1.1 trillion, and this is what it took for people to realize that maybe they're not owed that.
Yeah, exactly, Carl. Look, I think what you're seeing right now this week in particular is Democrats are using hungry people as human shields. They've taken
Yeah.
demagoguery to a whole new level. And let's be really clear about why the shutdown's happening. The Democrats shut the government down. They voted to keep it shut down 12 times because they want to relitigate an argument on Obamacare subsidies, and they're actually mad at Republicans for agreeing with them on their own policy. Democrats wrote a temporary provision in for subsidies for Obamacare. And Republicans are saying, we agree with you, those should be temporary. And they passed a law that made sure that those, in fact, went away. And now Democrats are saying, no, we want those to continue. And they believe that by demagoguing the country, they're going to win this argument. And now they're using poor people as human shields. They're abusing their own base. And look, and food insecurity is not a made-up problem. It's a real issue in this country. And you've got, maybe 13%, according to some estimates, but severe food insecurity is maybe 5%.
Right.
And every hungry belly is the same color. And so, but you have Democrats discriminating against the poorest people in the country because they're trying to win a political argument that is baseless.
But let me take the devil's advocate here. It's like, look, I don't want people to starve. I certainly don't. It's deer season, I kill deer and I donate it to homeless shelters so they can feed these people. I'm a participant in helping the problem. However, this could be an opportunity if Republicans weren't morons, which sometimes we are, in breaking the cycle and forcing people off this stuff.
Right. So I just described the issue of food insecurity. That's what you just described as one of the solutions. I live on a farm. I literally just looked out my window and saw deer going across my field. Yeah. So you're exactly right. And so people where I live, they do that. If they shoot a deer, they don't just let it rot, they give it away. And the answer to this issue is not a big behemoth government program. The answer is, how do we empower local communities, local churches, community groups to identify people in their communities who are truly in need and make sure they have the resources to care for people who are their neighbors? Mm-hmm. Well, you have less money to do that when the government is taking so much. And so the compassionate thing to do is to shrink the size and scope of the federal central government, let people like you and people watching the show use their own resources to be creative and help their neighbors who are in need, and to lower inflation so people can afford food. If you really want to solve food insecurity, you need to have the price of groceries go down.
Or I'm gonna go one step further, John, and say, instead of teaching kids about purple hair and 72 genders in high school, you could teach them how to actually grow a plant, and then they could be self-sustaining, dare I say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's nothing compassionate about making people dependent on government. And I think what Democrats are doing is they're doubling down on demagoguery and this idea of counterfeit compassion, the idea that if only we could spend billions of dollars on government programs, we'd solve the country's problems. Well, if that was the answer, we would have solved healthcare long ago. We would have solved food insecurity decades ago. And that is not the answer. The answer is to let people keep more of what they earn and solve problems in their own community and teach people personal responsibility. And that's done person to person, relationship to relationship. It's not done. You don't transmit compassion through a government check. You do it by sitting across the table from somebody, understanding their life story, and helping them meet their needs and learn responsibility, learn life skills. Yeah. That's how you really solve it.
John, I'm with you. I wish you were making policy, my man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Carl.
All right. Let's bring in Shemeka Michelle, a author and Blaze TV contributor. All right, Shemeka, we were just talking about this, and like I said, I'm okay with a safety net, but I'm not okay with a permanent lifestyle solution.
Absolutely, Carl. I agree with you. The same way I don't like seeing fat people dance while they're eating, I don't like seeing all of these entitlement videos that keep coming across my timeline. I think it's ridiculous that people feel like they're entitled to this help. My heart goes out to those who are truly in need, the elderly or the disabled, but I am really frustrated with the people that we can clearly see are just using the system to be lazy and to have a reason not to get out here and work hard and have a job. So there has to be something done to curb this, because I always say that if you continue to feed something, it's going to grow. And this us feeding entitlement is not going to help. These people are going to get more entitled and feel like someone owes them something. And they're not going to have a light bulb go off to say, hey, I need to get out here and get a job. They're just going to, the entitlement will grow.
Yeah. Well, Shemeka, you actually been pretty vocal about this. You said you've been on both sides of this equation, needing food stamps and the paying taxes side. You say that you're okay, obviously giving needy people benefits and all these things. But the system of abuse that you just mentioned, that's the problem. How do you stop? I mean, I don't know the system, but how do you stop people from saying they're disabled and then giving them this for 40 years of their life?
A lot of people who claim they're disabled aren't really disabled. I have actually watched women on jobs say, I can't work this amount of hours because if I do, then my benefits will get cut. They will actually keep from excelling because they want to keep these benefits. These are the people that I feel like if after a year or so you haven't graduated and you can get to a point where you are off food assistance, it just needs to be cut. As you stated earlier, a safety net is fine, but having a lifestyle on this, there are a lot of people, generations, they've been on food stamps for generations. Grandma teaches the mom, then the mom teaches the child, and it just continues to go down. They teach them how to get over on the system, and it's not helpful. It should just be a short amount of time. If you're not elderly, if you're not truly disabled, and then that should end.
Yeah. And it's worth noting that we are the only country where the primary health concern among poor people is, in fact, obesity. So maybe we should look at what is provided. Shemeka Michelle, pleasure as always.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, could failed presidential candidate, and I mean failed presidential candidate Kamala Harris, be eyeing another run for the White House? Please. But first, oh man, it gets better. Socialist Zoran Mamdani rallying over the weekend with his socialist pals Bernie Sanders and the bartender AOC in front of thousands. This is the Democrat Party mainstream. Next.
Just before Charlie Kirk died, he issued a stark warning of terrifying dangers ahead. Charlie wrote this in the foreword for the new book, Pagan Threat, by Pastor Lucas Miles. Charlie said that Pagan Threat could save America and that you must read and share this book. A #1 Amazon bestseller, Pagan Threat is available everywhere. Get Pagan Threat free with Newsmax's special offer and save $30. Go online today and read Charlie's final words.
This is keratin debris, where nail fungus grows. Nonix Nail Gel cleans out fungus by removing keratin debris. Using Nonix, 90% of nails improve. Get clinically proven results. So effective, it's money-back guaranteed.
Look out, 'cause here I come. Ready to lose weight? Think Wegovy.
With Wegovy, I've lost 35 pounds.
I lost 46.
For the first time, I'm keeping the weight off.
I got this. I'm protecting my heart.
Wegovy is proven to lower the risk of major cardiovascular events.
Don't take if you or your family had MTC, MEN2, or if allergic to it. Tell your provider if you plan to have surgery or a procedure, are breastfeeding, pregnant, or plan to be. Stop taking and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or any of these allergic reactions. Serious side effects may include pancreas inflammation and gallbladder or severe stomach problems. Call your prescriber if you have any of these symptoms. Wegovy may cause low blood sugar in people with diabetes, especially if you take medicines for it. Call your prescriber if you experience vision changes, heart racing at rest, or any mental changes. Depression or thoughts of suicide may occur. Side effects of nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea can lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney problems.
Why wait?
Ask your prescriber about Wegovy today.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens.
Not anymore. Bill Clinton would be laughed at today's Democrat Party. And since then, I have been asking, what does the Democrat Party actually stand for? Not what they're against. You have a guy with 2 Nazi tattoos that went up in the polls over a sitting Democrat governor of Maine, now leading by 30 points. And you have housing minority leader endorsing Zoran Mamdani, who was an open communist. Jay Jones wanted to kill the opponents or his political opponents' kids, and he's still been raising money and not pushed out of the race. Meanwhile, they're pushing Fetterman out for wanting to reopen the government, and there's no room for moderation in the Democratic Party anymore whatsoever. That's what they're for. And it's not like, you know, it's not what AOC said at the rally. It's what she didn't say.
This city was built by the Irish escaping famine, Italians fleeing fascism, Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country, in a vision to build the freest, toughest, and greatest city on earth.
She also left out the millions and millions and millions who fled the very socialist policies she's standing there advocating for since their inception, who ran from which side to which side when the Berlin Wall came down. Free market didn't rush into the communist side for aid. Founder of Walkaway Campaign, Brandon Straka. Brandon, this seems to be mainstream. Hakeem Jeffries has endorsed this radical nut, Zoran Mamdani.
Right. Well, I think that the Democrat Party is just like the rest of us. The whole nation is sort of holding their breath and watching, I think, the New York City mayor's race. But I think the Democratic Party is, too, because they're trying to see what is the future of our party? Which direction are we going? A lot of the establishment base has kind of like taken a step back and not been willing to endorse Zoran Mamdani up until this point. Some of the more extreme side, like Hakeem Jeffries, who's, you know, I think straddling the fence of, am I just going to be a full-blown socialist supporter or communist supporter? He's willing to go all in. But I think the more establishment types are looking at this and going, what is about to happen in New York City, and is our party just going to go all in on being a socialist party?
Well, Fetterman, at the hint of like, hey, maybe this has gone a little too far, they're like, nope, we're going to primary. What? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, this is what it's going to be from this point forward. This is what I've been trying to say. I've been in New York now for over 4 months fighting Zoran Mamdani. We've been kind of leading this effort here, and I've been trying to tell people all across the country. People have been saying, "Oh, whatever happens in New York happens in New York. Who cares? Let them vote." Yeah, it is what it is. I've been trying to tell people this is going to have far-reaching effects all over the country, and it's going to have far-reaching effects for the Democratic Party as well, because this is going to determine, I think, what the future of this party is going to be, and they're going to become the radical leftist party.
Well, it already shows, and like that's the thing. Is like I live outside of Connecticut, out in Connecticut. I work here, obviously, so it does affect me. But I have my gun permit, so I should be okay. The issue is that it does trickle in everywhere. And we were just talking about benefits, and Mamdani, he's out there claiming that it's actually the government's job to provide all those essential resources for everybody everywhere. Roll this.
No New Yorker should ever be priced out of anything they need to survive. And we believed then, we believe today, we will believe tomorrow that it is government's job to deliver that dignity. Dignity, my friends, is another way of saying freedom.
Which is exactly what's going on right now nationwide. But the problem is, you run out of other people's money eventually.
Right. Well, and also, how are we defining dignity? I mean, is dignity, to me, dignity is living in a 3-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms on the Upper East Side. Like, you know, what is
Ain't bad.
Not bad at all. But I mean, what is the government required to provide for you? And, you know, why are we calling it dignity? I mean, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. But is the government required to provide a New York City lifestyle for everybody? I think that's sort of the question. Not everybody can afford to live anywhere that they want to live or do anything that they want to do. And I don't think it's the role of the government to provide that for people.
But the other thing is, this guy is full of it. Man, he tried to paint his aunt as a victim of... Just watch this. This is crazy.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Well, according to public records, professional records and things like that, LinkedIn profile, his only Muslim aunt lived in Tanzania after 9/11, and we have a picture of her, and she's not wearing a hijab.
Yeah. Well, even if she were, let's say that he was telling the truth.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a New Yorker and you're going to vie for the highest office in New York City and you're going to invoke the memory of 9/11, you'd better be talking about the memory of the people whose lives were lost that day in the building, and the first responders and their families, the people who are actually the true victims who were affected of 9/11. It's not about your relatives and whether or not they felt safe wearing a hijab on the subway. It's about the people who died from the terrorist attacks.
I don't care about your hijab. I care about the 3,000 people who were killed.
Correct.
Brandon Straka, pleasure.
Thank you.
Good luck saving this city. All right, coming up, Gavin Newsom is the new Kamala Harris, apparently. They both make up stories and weird accents to fit in with people that they want to vote for them. We got that in our Culture Clash next.
Newsmax.
Shoots it straight. No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax. Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think. They let me decide.
Real news for real people.
Have you compared your Medicare plan recently? With eHealth, you can compare Medicare plans side by side for free. So we invited people to give eHealth a try and discover how easy it can be to find your Medicare match.
This is pretty amazing. I can go on a vacation with this money.
I have quite a few prescriptions.
That's why people call us. We're going to compare plans, and I'm going to try to get you as much bang for your buck as possible.
That's great.
This one here covers all your prescriptions, your doctors as well.
Oh, wonderful.
I have a hard time with this.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for. Based on our conversation today, I would highly recommend this plan.
You're so helpful. You don't know.
I'm excited for you, sir. Again, my name is Cham. If you have any other questions, give me a ring.
Thank you very much. Oh my God, that was super easy.
See how your Medicare plan stacks up with the big changes for 2026. Just call this number or get started at eHealth.com. Compare plans that cover your doctors, prescriptions, pharmacy, and budget. And compare plans from the nation's top insurance companies. They pay us to help you. How much do you think you'll be able to save using eHealth?
At least $300 a month.
Would you say you found your Medicare match?
Yes, I did. What Sham did, she explained to me exactly what I need to know.
Well, I have a surprise for you. Cham, come on out.
Oh my goodness.
It's a pleasure to meet you today, sir. What does it feel like to be face to face?
You helped me out quite a bit.
Call to meet your advisor. They're paid the same no matter which Medicare Advantage plan you choose. Ask them about eHealth Live Advise or get started on your own at eHealth.com. Either way, it's always a free service. See if you could get more for less with eHealth, like these folks did.
The savings are unbelievable.
I could see the costs side by side. eHealth is wonderful. $1,200 savings in my pocket. I was really pleasantly surprised with that.
Call 1-800-708-0234 to compare Medicare plans in your area or visit eHealth.com.
eHealth, your Medicare matchmaker.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Order online and save $45. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS. That's urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS.
Jesus Christ came to take the muck out of you. Let me send you this free book, The Everlasting Gospel of Christ. This is absolutely free. We simply want you to know Jesus Christ.
Hey, I know I tried to forget, but remember when Kamala Harris around this time last year started debuting like totally different characters? Her accents and stories were just morphing into whoever she was with at the time. One day it was Latina, I love you, bye. And the next day she was like a black lady preaching, telling a story of her mother working 2 jobs. I come from a middle-class family. Well, now, fellow Californian Gavin Newsom is trying out the same tactic. His latest stunt claiming he was poor growing up.
I struggled, couldn't really read or write. We had roommates all the time because she couldn't afford the rent. In our garage, there was a car. I always said it was my car. It wasn't my car because we were renting out for $50 a month. It was also about paying the bills, man. And it was just like hustling. And so I was out there kind of raising myself, turning on the TV, started, just getting obsessed, sitting there with the Wonder Bread and macaroni and cheese. Every day in the backyard, just bouncing the basketball, throwing the ball against the wall until the ball is just like fraying, man.
Where do we begin? Okay, perhaps the fact that your father befriended billionaire Gordon Getty and then managed his family trust of over $2 billion. Pretty penny on the commission on that one. Or the fact that you then went on to open up a wine shop with Getty's sons, selling expensive bottles of wine to super rich people, featured in an article with a photo that captioned, "Children of the Rich." Your childhood home sold for $3.6 million. And by the way, it looks like you can read after all. Looks like your childhood was really tough, Gavin, surrounded by billionaires and lavish lifestyle that your parents fell into. It's amazing that you survived off all that Wonder Bread and mac and cheese. Brecca Stoll, reporter for the Daily Wire, and Terry Schilling, president of American Principles Project. Oh, Terry, I look at this. This is so dumb.
No, Carl, it is so dumb. It's so fake. That's ultimately what is driving the outrage here. Gavin Newsom was obviously rich, but we all know who he was, right? We knew that kid in high school whose parents were rich, who complained about being poor because his dad gave him his old used BMW instead of getting him a new one.
Right.
This is pathetic, and he needs to stop faking it.
Yeah, here's another one, Brecca. This is Eric Swalwell. This guy, and I've been talking about the Democrat Party all night tonight, creating a candidate litmus test who says no Democrat should be able to run for our platform who won't agree to tear down the new Trump ballroom. Don't even think about seeking a Democratic nomination for president unless you pledge to take away or take a wrecking ball to the Trump ballroom day one. I mean, I don't know, Brecca. Are they going to do that with tax dollars or how's that going to work?
Yeah, no, Carl. Honestly, this story's been really interesting to me. I tweeted out last week, Caroline Leavitt had a press conference, and out of 30 questions, she got asked 11 times about the ballroom. And this is amid things going on, like a government shutdown before Trump's trip to Asia. But the focus was on this ballroom. And that's a pretty alarming statement from Swalwell saying that no one should run for the Democratic presidency or have that goal if they're not willing to destroy a $300 million building. I would say that's concerning for someone who votes on spending bills to say.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. Well, hey, Terry, here's another loser in the making, the news this weekend. Hunter Biden decided to do a 3-hour interview on Substack. Okay, take a listen to his main concern.
What's your nightmare scenario of where it could go?
Where we are.
Yeah.
This is my nightmare scenario. When the president of the United States ignores court orders, when he acts unconstitutionally. I don't believe that it was constitutional in the way in which he ended USAID. 14 million people that otherwise would have led a healthy life because of the generosity of the American people will die within the next 5 years.
Hunter, the reformed constitutionalist, former crackhead.
Carl, listen, first of all, no one believes this, right? These claims are extraordinary. They didn't believe them when the media was attacking Trump in the beginning of this administration. But here's the thing. I have an idea. If he really does believe that money would go and save 14 million people, he can use his paintings and sell them for the millions of dollars that he's been using to funnel money through from foreign governments. That is how he can help save those 14 million people.
Yeah, exactly. And we know that like 98% of that money didn't actually get to the end result because they were spending $4 million to build a single well in Botswana. All right, here's another pro-Palestine festival in the books. Thousands gathered in Las Vegas last weekend for some festival that consisted of rock music and free Palestine posters. Performers wearing the No King stuff. I mean, Brecca, when are they going to realize that this doesn't work?
You know, honestly, I'm not surprised to see that happening. I was obviously watching your show earlier when you were talking about the Mamdani rally, and at that rally, AOC got on stage and she called New York the working city, talked about how it's a fascist worst nightmare, obviously, like saying that, but you're basically saying that Donald Trump is a fascist. And then also you have her say that his presidency has corruption and bigotry. So when you have, leaders of the Democratic Party saying these types of things, I'm not surprised when you start to see the downstream effects.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a bunch of people who generally don't know much about much. Brecca Stoll, Terry Schilling, appreciate it very much. All right, coming up, the radical left goes out of their way to protect criminals, even classifying them as the wrong race. What the heck is this all about? We're going to check it out next.
You know Rob Finnerty. He's smart, bold, and stands strong for your values. Rob is fighting for you. Watch Finnerty weeknights only on Newsmax.
As Israel suffers attacks on 7 different fronts, it's her poor and elderly who are barely making it through each day.
The tears are from the pain of the life that she's lived. She's a survivor of Auschwitz. The years that they would just beat her, years that she didn't have food and felt hungry.
She paid a horrible price to come home from Ethiopia. She lost in that journey her 6-year-old son. A couple of weeks later, she lost her family. She is a wonderful woman, and she is very poor.
I pray that we answer these cries, and our answer is love.
With a gift of only $25, you'll deliver a life-saving food box into the hands of an elderly Jew in need.
She's saying people have a heart. There are good people today.
Call, scan, or go online now, and the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews will rush your food box today.
Hallelujah. This is a holy moment. What you're doing is not simply being kind. You are prophetically stepping into the scriptures and being part of their redemption and our own.
This is a holy calling, and it's our chance to bless God's people. In a world where Israel is under attack, Christians can help fulfill biblical prophecies through practical support and genuine friendship.
For everything you are doing, thank you. It's perfect.
This is what a simple food box does.
You can bring joy, hope, and love to someone praying for your help today. So please, call, scan, or go online now.
From our orchards in Oregon to your holiday table, Harry and David delivers a legacy of gourmet excellence. Our prepared meals, fine wines, charcuterie, all crafted to elevate any celebration. Make it a hand-picked holiday with Harry and David.
My employees and I want to thank all of you at Newsmax for your continued support of MyPillow. It's because of you and the grace of God that we're making it through. And to thank you, we're bringing you the best offers ever. Get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regularly $119.98, now only $29.88. Our My Towels are finally back in stock. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And for the first time and the only time ever, you're going to get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code when you order today. Inventory for these offers are extremely limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Well, the numbers don't lie, and if you needed any proof that diversity ain't our greatest strength, this is the percentage of sexual assaults by nationality in the UK, which countries are at the top. Places like Afghanistan, Namibia, all the migrants in the graph this went way down. But you know who's at the bottom? The UK, in the UK, made up only 2.6% of sexual assaults. And this was only from 2021 to 2023. Imagine how bad those numbers are today. Michael Savage, who is banned from the UK, host of Savage Nation. Sir, weird, right?
Demographics are destiny, borders, language, culture, my language, my entire political life. What we're seeing here is reverse colonialism, not only in the United Kingdom, but the entire West, which has been invaded by the worst of the third world, not the best. Just as Trump said, they were releasing the trash from their prisons, mental hospitals, etc., and dumping them on the West. And apparently they all love it so much here that they come here and do the things that they were doing in their countries to begin with, which is the terrible things that we're talking about. Sexual assault, criminality of the worst kind. And yet they're held up on a pedestal. They're sacred third worlders. If you say one word about them, you're called what? It begins with R and ends with T. I say just deport them, along with their enablers who are not from those countries. Their enablers are from the far left in this country, like Bernie Sanders, George Soros, and the entire left-wing cabal who wants to overwhelm the West with this junk from the third world. It is colonialism by any name.
Yeah, well, it's white liberals are the worst. All right, I want to get back to here in America, with the place that I actually care about. They're keeping the numbers from looking like the UK, and in North Carolina, hundreds of Hispanic criminals were actually labeled white instead of Hispanic. Why? I mean, it's not like, look at this guy, Dominguez, Toto, classified as that dude's not white.
Well, I've been watching the FBI data since I began in radio in the 90s, and the FBI has manipulated data ever since I was studying it. And they have categories, as you know, Carl, white, and then there's a white non-Hispanic, whatever that means, right? In other words, any way they can rig the system to make white people look good and so-called people of color look even better. Make white people look bad and people of color look good, they will do so. So they try to bury the fact that most crime in America is committed by illegal immigrants, period, end of story.
Yeah, but in Texas, there's actually a huge swath of people on the most wanted list. Roll this soundbite real quick.
Let's just take a look here at the 10 most wanted fugitives in Texas. Wow. Do you see that? You see the red circles? Yeah, it says they're all white. That's not suspicious. But I'm sure it's just a typo, just like the rest of these clearly white men. And these, total coincidence.
In every state, man.
I thought that was AOC's voice. She sounded familiar. I'm glad we have a girl on our side who is just as capable of saying things that need to be said in this case. But it's not just that. Carl, I found something that you'll be very interested in. I know the time is short. It always is. A Danish commercial, Denmark, warns white citizens about breeding with other whites. I swear to God, I'm not making this up.
Yeah, they called it inbreeding.
Inbreeding. They show a commercial of two Danish people of, let us say, Danish ancestry, true Danish ancestry, flirting with each other. And then they say that it was the invasion in the past of other countries that brought in hybrid vigor that gave Denmark its strength. And then they say that they should definitely not breed with people that look like them. They should look for people from exotic genetics. Now, you look at a thing like this and you say to yourself, how could Europeans be committing suicide so quickly? Why would they even permit commercials like this? And by the way, Carl, you probably saw this. The government, it's Denmark's state television, on a science show called Evolution, where this commercial says that white people shouldn't have children together. They should find exotic genes in order to make sure that Denmark no longer exists in 10 years.
These people hate themselves. That's what this comes down to. It's like
it's frightening.
You're never going to solve this problem. You're never going to convince these people that it's too bad until it's too late. Michael Savage, always a pleasure, my man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, be sure to check out Savage Nation right here at Newsmax Sundays, 8 p.m. All right, folks. A sad story from, the sports world over the weekend. New York Jets legend Nick Mangold passed away at the age of 41 from a very rare kidney disease. Now, Mangold, 7-time All-Pro, Hall of Famer, great teammate, father, husband, Jets guy, my team. And they won this past weekend. All right, coming up, Kamala Harris eyeing another shot at the White House. I guess she didn't get enough embarrassment the first time around. We're going to talk about that in a sec.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage. executing Palestinians, bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
Hi folks, I'd like to tell you about YRefi. Did you know that as an accredited investor, when you invest in YRefi, your interest rate is fixed? And did you know that you can invest from 1 to 5 years and you can spread your investment over those terms to best suit your needs? And you have the freedom to take your monthly interest income or reinvest it, whatever you choose. When you invest in YRefi, your interest is calculated daily, you're paid monthly, and should you need your money back early, there is a liquidity feature. Would you like more information? All you have to do is call 877-80-INVEST. That's 877-80-INVEST, or log on to investyrrefi.com. That's investyrrefi.com for complete details. And make sure you review the private placement memorandum and scan this QR code to view the disclosure at your leisure. YRefi, investing in America's future.
If a parent or loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, we are here to help. With our MesoCare promise and decades of experience exclusively helping mesothelioma victims and their families, our firm will fight for the care and compensation you and your family deserve. We'll come to you and put a plan in place. Please call now.
Call now and we'll come to you for a free consultation. Call now at 800-664-2000 or go to mesobook.com.
Derriere, caboose, booty, badunkadunk. No matter what you call it, if you have hemorrhoids, your tushy is no laughing matter. So don't use a cream that treats your rear end like a joke. Get serious relief with Recticare Advanced Hemorrhoidal Cream. Recticare Advanced is seriously effective with 2 powerful medicines for rapid dual-action relief, soothing the uncomfortable swelling, itching, and pain of your hemorrhoids. For serious hemorrhoid relief for your buns, get Recticare Advanced.
David trusts Prevagen for his brain, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good for me. Makes my day.
Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years.
You say in your book, I'm not done.
That is correct. I am not done. I have lived my entire career a life of service, and it's in my bones. And there are many ways to serve. I've not decided yet what I will do in the future beyond what I am doing right now.
All right. She may not be done, but Democrats are definitely done with her. Former Vice President Kamala Harris has sparked some serious speculation about her political future. I mean, real throwing a wrench in it, but dropping hints that she may be gearing up for another run. They just got done paying off her debt. Vance versus Harris, 2020. This could be awesome. Founder of Project Libertas, David Medina, and political strategist Katie Zacharia. Katie, this is, I'm here for it. Go for it, lady.
Carl, best news we get as a Republican Party for Kamala to run, and I actually don't know if they've paid off her debt. She spent, $1.5 billion on her campaign on advertising.
Like 3 months.
Lost all 7 swing states, the House, the Senate. What's she going to run on? Her great track record as borders are, Carl? I think this is the best news we've had.
Yeah, I happen to agree with that. David, she's not the only one hinting at a possible run, though. We talked about Gavin Newsom. This is why I warn people, you got to pay attention to California and New York, because this guy is definitely going to make a run. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Carl, I'm actually going to go buy a Kamala Harris T-shirt because that's how bad I want her to run. I want to push her over the edge because it would be such an easy election in 28, like it was in 2024. Please run, Kamala Harris. From all of us conservatives and Trump support, please run. Also, Gavin Newsom trying to be super relatable. I don't know if you guys saw him on the podcast, but he's trying to act like he wasn't raised with a silver spoon in his mouth.
We played that earlier.
Act like he's relatable. It's insane.
Yeah, no, it is. Katie, Trump, though, was asked about his thoughts about the 2020 ticket on this. And listen to what he had to say.
We have great people. I don't have to get into that, but we have one of them standing right here. We have JD, obviously. The vice president is great. I think Marco's great. I think if they ever formed a group, it would be unstoppable. I really do. All I can tell you is that we have a great group of people, which they don't.
I mean, Katie, people like Mamdani is going to be the face of the Democrat Party in the next, for the next election. So let's be honest, they don't have much.
Well, they don't have much, and you have the race to the bottom, as between Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris, both out of our wonderful California, that they've both failed so well. I think that we let them eat each other alive, and President Trump also said on there, Carl, that he might consider and would be interested in maybe a third term, which, as is constitutionally permissible, if it is, I'd love to see President Trump. He's crushing it for us. But JD, Marco, they're all great and would absolutely eviscerate Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris, especially in the Midwest. Those Midwest voters are never going to vote for a Gavin Newsom.
No, I mean, somebody on a farm voting for that guy with that gel in his hair. All right, Jeffrey Epstein, the victim, Virginia Guffey, claimed in her posthumous memoir, Ghislaine Maxwell once bragged that she performed a sex act on George Clooney during a party. I'm like, oh man, from the grave, she's sticking it to him. We got you there, David?
Yeah, great.
Yes. Who's it to? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, David.
Yeah, sorry, Carl. Yeah, I mean, listen, a few years ago, we had the whole the Harvey Weinstein debacle, and just showed you how deep this whole, sex trafficking thing and this whole corruption goes in Hollywood. And this doesn't surprise me, Carl. I mean, it's corrupt, and I would love to see how far this really goes and who else is involved in this. And I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Yeah, no, I'm still looking forward to all those things, or at least maybe even, I don't know, trying to charge people who are on the flight list, because that's a start, and then let them plea out in court. Discovery will be a whiz. But also, real quick, this is a 180 on the standard Portland policy. Portland police actually ordered anti-ICE protesters to clean the tents, and they were even cleaning them out themselves. They blocked the whole thing. I mean, Katie, this is like a 180 from what Portland police normally they bring them coffee.
Right. Well, look, we had a massive win for President Trump. The Ninth Circuit has basically said, yes, the president can have the National Guard. And the Ninth Circuit is typically known as the most liberal of all the circuit courts. Yes, he can have the National Guard. Yes, we are going to allow ICE to continue these raids. So it's nice to see that. I mean, look, the police should be in Portland. And Carl, the truth is, as is the reality for most of us on the West Coast, Portland, the outside of Portland and most of Oregon are very conservative. They do not even understand what's happening in Portland, right?
No, but David, you were just there.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were out there this morning, and it's just completely cleared out. There's no protesters. The street is completely cleaned off. A lot of these Portland police officers, they're my friends, and they're people I go to church with. They're people that follow me and support my work. And a lot of them want to do this more often, Carl, but they're just the political leadership, far left, the Democrats here in Oregon tie their hands. And, the fight's not over. So I want people to understand the fight is not over, and we got to continue to speak up.
All right. Well, David, Katie, we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right, before we go, we need to reset our relationship with Russia, not the Hillary Clinton stupid plastic button one. A real reset, like how men used to do it. Next.
The press won't report the real story.
The American people are actually very smart.
Ridiculous statements.
These guys are just plain weird.
Actual scandals.
Even the immunity decision. I mean, that decision was so misreported.
That's my job, and I aim to do it every night.
My employees and I want to thank all of you at Newsmax for your continued support of MyPillow. It's because of you and the grace of God that we're making it through. And to thank you, we're bringing you the best offers ever. Get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regularly $119.98, now only $29.88. Our My Towels are finally back in stock. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And for the first time and the only time ever, you're going to get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code when you order today. Inventory for these offers are extremely limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Are you or a loved one a military veteran that has been diagnosed with mesothelioma? Do you have questions about getting the best treatment or paying medical bills? Have you received the proper care and compensation you deserve? Let our firm serve you with the same dedication you served your country. We are exclusively devoted to helping those with mesothelioma. Call now to get this free book, and we'll answer any question you have.
We'll even visit you.
Call 800-555-8958 or go to mesobook.com.
Have you compared your Medicare plan recently? With eHealth, you can compare Medicare plans side by side for free. So we invited people to give eHealth a try and discover how easy it can be to find your Medicare match.
This is pretty amazing. I can go on a vacation with this money.
I have quite a few prescriptions.
That's why people call us. We're going to compare plans, and I'm going to try to get you as much bang for your buck as possible.
That's great.
This one here covers all your prescriptions, your doctors as well.
Oh, wonderful.
I have a hard time with this.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for. Based on our conversation today, I would highly recommend this plan.
You're so helpful. You don't know.
I'm excited for you, sir. Again, my name is Cham. If you have any other questions, give me a ring.
Thank you very much. Oh my God, that was super easy.
See how your Medicare plan stacks up with the big changes for 2026. Just call this number or get started at eHealth.com. Compare plans that cover your doctors, prescriptions, pharmacy, and budget. And compare plans from the nation's top insurance companies. They pay us to help you. How much do you think you'll be able to save using eHealth?
At least $300 a month.
Would you say you found your Medicare match?
Yes, I did. What Sham did, she explained to me exactly what I needed to know.
Well, I have a surprise for you. Cham, come on out.
Oh my goodness.
It's a pleasure to meet you today, sir.
What does it feel like to be face to face?
You helped me out quite a bit.
Call to meet your advisor. They're paid the same no matter which Medicare Advantage plan you choose. Ask them about eHealth Live Advise or get started on your own at eHealth.com. Either way, it's always a free service. See if you could get more for less with eHealth, like these folks did.
The savings are unbelievable.
I could see the costs side by side. eHealth is wonderful. $1,200 savings in my pocket. I was really pleasantly surprised with that.
Call 1-800-708-0234 to compare Medicare plans in your area or visit eHealth.com.
eHealth, your Medicare matchmaker.
Sometimes it feels like we're in the 80s again. America at a standoff with Russia. I mean, Putin just tested like a nuclear rocket the other day, over the weekend. Look, we don't have Patrick Swayze anymore to lead a ragtag group of guys into the Colorado mountains. I'd be happy to do it, but I think they'll invade probably not mainland America like Red Dawn. As someone, and Rocky is still, we're placing America's hopes on him smoking Ivan Drago again. I mean, come on. In the last Rocky movie, Creed's son did, in fact, beat Drago's son. But you know what we can do to lower the temperature? Let's send Metallica to Moscow again. Weeks after Gorbachev resigned as the Soviet Union communist leader in '91, Metallica shredded the faces of over 1.6 million people at the Tushino airfield in Moscow. One of the largest concerts in the history of the world. I'd be cool with using a couple taxpayer dollars, a real peace mission, rather than just randomly throwing money at Ukraine like we've been doing that's totally unaccounted for. I mean, Rob, you ready to enter Sandman?
Metallica and... Sure, why not?
Let's go. We'll cover live.
It's one of your more interesting ideas. I'll give you that.
Exactly. I mean, look, it could be a real mission for peace, and it would be fun because they're kind of an awesome band.
Sounds like a great time.
All right, take it away, brother.
Good to see you. Thanks so much.